I'm third.
Oh, I'm definitely. I have a 30-year-old son, so it's okay.
So let's see, I think my first convention was we were counting up 9 years ago, and that's my 9th convention. And they've been around, real sweet and lovely. They do a really good job with children. About 40% of their business are children, and 55% are weddings. And they said the other 5% is whatever stuff they can handle. Stuff. But the original flower children, they were hippies. So last night was not a big deal for them to be able to just, it was just a thing in the past. So this morning they're going to tell us about how to do a little bit better job with children, maybe some promotions and stuff like that. I want to introduce Tom and Cookie.
Thank you, Jim. Wasn't that a great party last night, by the way? It was like living my past music.
I did too, I'm not really famous.
See underneath my eyes this morning.
Lots of fun.
I don't think we went to bed, did we?
We slept for 3 hours.
3 hours, okay. Thanks everybody for coming. It's early in the morning and I hope you're awake and you can hear because I'm not, so I hope you guys are. As Jim said, we've been around a long time. Come on in.
Did you say you?
Yeah, Joey's on her way down.
Oh, okay. Let's see if this one might fit. We may have to ask some volunteers to plop on the floor if we.
We can go get it.
Where are we going to put it?
Anyhow, we've been around for about 18 years. We've been around longer than that. We've been around a long time. We've been in the business about 18 years. We have an in-home studio. We recently changed our camera room. We had a little room which was about this big that we had everything in. Now we have a room that's about this big that we do our shooting in, which has made a big difference because we used to have to take, after each prop, where are we going to put this? Now we just toss it aside. It's great. And we're outgrowing that, which you'll find no matter how big a camera room you have, you outgrow it real quickly. About 55% of our business is weddings. About 40% is little people, children. We do Mardi Gras work. We do families. We do all the other stuff most people do, except seniors. We do no seniors. We started, as far as doing children, we started about 14 years ago. We went to a national convention in Dallas, PPA convention. And while I'm talking about conventions, as everybody knows, conventions are great to come to. We go to conventions all the time. We go to every national convention, we go to state conventions. We found that if you learn just one thing at any one convention, it's well worth whatever it's cost you to go to. And when we went to in Dallas, Cookie went to a seminar on nursery schools. We had never done any. We had never done any children, very few children at the time. And at this program, she got the idea about doing nursery schools, and we went out and did a few nursery schools. And we decided that this is a pretty good way to make some extra money. Keep the camera clicking throughout the week, not just on weekends for weddings. It was a way to build up our customer base and to make a few bucks also. We found out when we started doing children that children aren't like big people. They're different in some ways, but in some ways they are like big people because they're a completely different kind of challenge. Because big people, you can say, look over here and turn here, and they'll do it usually. But little people, they have good days and they have bad days, just like we do. Sometimes you get up this time in the morning and you don't feel like getting up, and the kids are the same way. They'll come in the studio, and the same child one day will be nice and happy, the next day you get them back, it might not be that happy. And I found that kids are totally honest with you. If they're not going to pretend like they're feeling good, if they're not feeling good, they're going to say, no, I don't want to do this, and they're going to let you know what their real feelings are. We'll tell you a little bit, Cookie's going to tell you a little bit about how we book our children from the first phone call.
First of all, let me say, backing up to what Tom said about that convention, when I went to that class that day, I wasn't involved in the business. I just went along. I was very involved with the job that I was on for 16 years. And I went along so I could visit with my husband because we were both going in different directions. And we went to convention and went in different directions. And the one idea of nursery schools, I got so excited about it that, I realized that I might eventually want to quit my job and work with him, which I did about 6 years ago. But with children, we find that our business is growing more and more and more. We were fortunate enough to be able to study with the Bloodworths. Are you all familiar with George and Betty Bloodworth? They were here a few years ago, and we're hoping we can get them back for Tom's convention next year. And they just have some wonderful ideas. Talk about a setup. If any of you are in the Nashville area, ever, give them a call, go by their studio in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, because it's just something to see. It really is. They have a backyard that has an immense amount of room. We have a backyard that's this wide, okay? So we have no
5 feet.
outdoor, yeah,
5 feet.
oh, it is 5 feet, I'm sorry. We have no outdoor area at all. But anyway, learn from each other, that's the most important thing.
But one thing, if you do call, don't feel like you're imposing on the Bloodworths if you call them, because they would be more than happy to take you a
Yeah.
complete tour of their studio.
Definitely.
They'd love to show it off.
Definitely.
Good reason.
Yeah, so some of the ideas we're going to share with you today, we have gotten from other people, okay? So you may say, oh, I heard that already, okay? And once it's gone through your filter system, and you've used it at least 3 times, then it becomes yours, okay? So if you hear something that you heard already today, I hope it's something that you maybe thought, well, maybe I could go home and use that, okay? There's really nothing different and exciting that we do, and don't everybody leave at once, okay? There's really nothing different and exciting that we do, except that I think that we put our whole selves into what we do. We truly, truly, truly enjoy children. Let me start with the phone call. When a client calls and if I'm available or Tom's available, Sharon, who's our wonderful secretary who we couldn't survive without, Sharon will call us to the phone. Until she did this until she's getting more and more trained. She's only been with us a couple of years now. Up until then it was just the 2 of us. But she's learning more and more what to say. We ask the prospective client what type of portraiture they're interested in. Do they want to do outdoor portraits? Do they want to do indoor portraits? You know, most of the time our calls are, we heard about you guys from so-and-so. And I always ask, well, who was so-and-so? You know, a friend of ours said. Well, I say, well, who was your friend? And that way I kind of have in my mind what type of portraits that we did with their child so that I can just kind of build on that. I always ask them the child's age and ask the child's name, and I also ask them what's the best time of day for that child. I don't want a 2-year-old, if he takes a nap at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't want to book his appointment at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I want to have him when he's very, very best. We have our studio open. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is when we photograph children, and occasionally on a Friday, rarely on a Saturday because we do lots of weddings. And we work from 10 in the morning till we take our last appointment at 8 in the evening. So we just kind of have them work. Some people will say, oh, you don't do this on Saturday? No, we really don't. And I used to fear saying that people would go someplace else. They don't. If they really want you to do their children's portraits, they're going to come to you when you're open. So we work the rest of the week. Don't think we lay around, we're just lazy, but we work, but we don't shoot photographs other days. After we have established a good time to set up the appointment for the child, I go over a little bit of information on the phone by telling them, you know, that we photograph all of our children, unless it's requested otherwise, we photograph them on a white paper background. A white, I don't say paper to them, but a white background. What we do with our white background is we roll out a white paper background and we put a sheet of masonite, white Formica, on the floor. I have to tell y'all a little story on Tom. He didn't want to put that Formica down. He kept saying, you're going to see a line. You're going to see a line. And it took us forever. Dottie Luke was using it. Emil was using it. Somebody else was shooting dancing schools with it. They were saying, you don't see the line. You know? Well, when he finally did it, it was like, oh, can't see that line. Can you?
Well, one thing it does, you can buy 1 roll of white paper and it'll last months and months and months.
Yeah.
Because you don't get it dirty unless the kids go off the back of it or something.
Right, but the Formica lasts, you know, for a long, long time.
Do you have that edge though at the front,
Yeah, you
that
can't
dark
catch-
edge?
Well, the camera cannot catch the front edge. You got
So
to
you
keep
have
your
to
camera
roll it
on
out
the
a
front
little
edge,
Yeah.
but the back edge will not. As long as your side lights that do your white high key are where they should be, you got enough light spilling on the floor, you will not see the back edge
And
at
it's
all.
cheaper than like the
It's
Stacy.
about $30 a sheet, and it lasts, we use about 2 sheets a year, 4 by 8 sheet.
It's shiny.
And why do you use
It's
a second
sort of
sheet?
shiny, it's not, I wouldn't say it's not glossy.
What
It's-
do you use the masonite?
Well, no, I'm saying why a second sheet? You say you go through 2 a year.
Because they crack. They will crack. Because we walk on them, and sometimes moms will step on them, and they will crack.
And we have carpet on our
okay.
floor,
All
but
right. I was gonna say a hard floor.
it's not
didn't see-
padded underneath. We took the padding out, we had just carpeted the room when we decided to move the studio out there. But we took the padding out, and it's like a commercial grade carpet, but it's still got a little bit of resiliency. So that's why you have to be a little more careful with it. Then what we do is, if there's enough time, we have a sheet that we send out. We get the address and we send out a little information sheet that we picked up from somebody else's class 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. And this,
Made some changes.
yeah, well, yeah, but Tom said we made some changes in it. But this sheet tells them exactly what to do, okay? If the appointment is tomorrow and I don't have time to get a sheet to them, then I kind of go over everything with them on the phone. Some of the things, and we're going to give you a copy of that sheet when you leave here today, okay? Some of the things that we have in the information sheet is please don't tell your children they're going to have their picture taken. Please don't tell them to smile, okay? Tell them they're going to Miss Cookies and Mr. Tom's house to play. I want our children to feel like when they've left our studio that they've been to Grandma's house. I don't allow the parents to correct them. I don't allow, they'll say, oh, don't touch that, don't touch that. And there's basically hardly anything that they can't touch, except the camera. Except the camera, okay? But
And
we
we'll
never...
let them do that. I tell them if they want to play with the camera, fine, we'll just add it to the bill. $2,000 right to the bill.
No problem. So basically, there's nothing that they can't touch. We do our best to make them feel like they're in a real comfortable and safe environment, okay? Getting back to the phone call, I go over the type of clothes, pastels, whites, photographed best on, waving at Mr. Emile as he backs out the door. Pastels and whites, we feel like photographed best on the white background, and we tell them this. And, some parents will say, oh, but I have this bright colored outfit. Great, bring it. If that's what you've gone out and purchased, you don't want them to feel like, Donna, if you call me to set up an appointment for your child, I don't want you to feel like, well, gee, I bought this outfit and I paid $50 for it, and she's telling me I can't use it, because right away you've offended them. So always tell them what you'd like them to do, but leave the door open that they don't have to do it that way, but this is the way that you feel like it photographs best. Most of the time, if they come in with a child with real bright colors, after they see the portraits, the next sitting that they come in, they're going to have the pastel colors on because they know that that works best, okay?
While you're on the colors, let me just mention, especially if it's an outfit that Grandma gave it, that no matter if it's pink and blue and yellow stripes, Grandma gave it to them, make sure you do some photographs in Grandma's outfit, because Grandma will buy those. But then say, why don't we just change and put these other little things on while we're here? We also have some clothes in the studio that we
Working on
use.
building up a wardrobe.
Yeah, especially for little girls. Little girls seem to be easier than clothes, I guess. That if they brought something really hideous in, we said, why don't we just try a few with these, And probably the first thing we do is ask them to take their shoes off. Not the moms, the kids. Moms do sometimes.
Yeah.
There's nothing uglier than the bottom of kids' shoes, and they're sitting in whatever, and their feet are up like this, and there's those ugly bottoms in the shoes. And a lot of times the mothers will object to that. Oh, I just bought these shoes, and they were $100, We'll do a couple in the shoes, whatever mom wants, we'll do a couple in the shoes, but just kind of, well, take the shoes off. And then they usually buy the ones with the shoes off because they're cute little toes.
Toes are a lot cuter, and bottoms of feet are a lot cuter than bottoms of shoes, especially if they're brand new and they're nice and clean. They almost look artificial,
The feet or the shoes?
The shoes, Harry, the shoes. We'll let Harry sit in the front row.
The bottom of their feet say Nike on their feet. That's a different story.
We also tell them that we allow an hour for their children. Okay, the reason that we book our appointments an hour apart is because if we get a 2-year-old that's horrible, it gives us time to rest in between. Seriously, the reason that we do it is simply because we don't necessarily brag them in and say, okay, we can take pictures now, get in here. We take time when they get to our home, we open the door together. Sometimes it's like, I wish somebody could video us before somebody comes in. We have a 2-story home, the office is upstairs, okay? Tom will be upstairs, I'll be downstairs, and we're both like, we can't yell down the stairs, do you know where the appointment book is? So we're like, look up there, sit down there. Because we want to make sure we remember the child's name. Because when we open the door, we look at that child and we don't necessarily talk to the parent, and I tell that to the parents ahead of time. Please don't think we're ignoring you when you come in.
We usually do.
We're going to talk directly to your child because we want them to know that we know their name. We want them to know that they're welcome. So I'd look at Harry and say, hi, Harry, how are you today? By the way, we photograph a little boy regularly who's named Harry. We do. He's the
Looks
cutest
just
little
like
You have
guy.
my deepest sympathy.
He's the cutest little guy. He really is. I say, hi, Harry, how are you today? Most of the time, if they're in mom's arms, they kind of, if they're shy, they'll back away. It's rare that they just come bouncing in and say, hi. And you just kind of got to get to know them, to make them know that you're there to be their friend. You walk into the studio, hang a right, step down, walk into the door, hang a right, step down, and go out to the studio in the back. Doing this, you go through our den. Kids feel safe in a home environment. They feel safe in a home environment. Now, I know some of you don't have an in-home. How many of you have in-home studios? 1, 2. So most of you don't. Try to make your studio be as homey as possible. I think that just helps kids. I really do. Because they feel safe in an in-home environment. They really do. We've had it both ways, and we've really, I've never worked in the other studio, but going to work every day. But should you like having it at home? I really do.
Even when they drive up in front, it's driving in front, there's no big sign in front, there's a little sign on the front door, so it's
Yeah,
like they're just
not
driving up to come
intimidating.
visit.
And that just helps us and makes our job easier. But I think the more homey you can make your studio, the better it is for children, for everyone, but especially for children. So then we take them out to the back room, and Tom and I immediately, we have a toy box. We have,
Before you go further,
okay.
when we dress very casually when we're photographing children, we never ever wear a tie, neat ties. We only wear a tie when we do weddings. Never dress up in a coat and tie, never wear it because kids come in and they say, ooh, coat and tie. We never want to look like doctors. Never wear white clothes, never wear green doctor clothes. Usually dress like this in the studio, something casual. A lot of times I wear Mickey Mouse shirts like this, with Mickey on the front, because kids like Mickey, so do I. Love Mickey. We want to, when we're greeting the children, we definitely, like Cookie said, we want to use their names, very important. But mostly important, we want to get down on their level. We don't want to be big people to them. We want to be little people down on their level. So the first thing, of course, when they come in the door, we're down here talking to them. But as soon as we get out in the camera room, we're right on the floor. Mom's wandering around looking, so we're on the floor playing. You were getting ready to say about the toy box.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to say, is that we get down on the floor and talk to them and play with them, and we don't ever sit down and say, how are you, Sadie? Instead of, how you doing today, Sadie? What's going on, And I'll grab a toy out the toy box. We have a great little dog over here. I'll show y'all that. Thank you, honey. That is just wonderful. I appreciate that. It's just wonderful. I think Tom and I spend more time in toy stores, and we have no kids, 30 and 28. I don't call that kids. This little guy, we just put batteries in him, and we've had him, what, about 4 years,
Yeah,
5
first
years?
time we put batteries in.
And you just, okay? And we show the kids that he talks, and just, kind of get him, sometimes we don't take a picture for 30 minutes.
Can I tell my little story about my little dog first?
Sure.
One of the mornings I was going to do a nursery school right after we got him. You heard what he said, oh, that hurts, that hurts. I was working by myself for some reason. I don't know what he did. But I had a whole truck loaded. I got a Bronco. It's all loaded with equipment. I'm driving down West Esplanade. I'm riding along and I hear, ooh, that hurts, that hurts. By myself. He had fallen, something had fallen on his ear. He's in the back of the truck, ooh, that hurts. It's a little scary.
Now, what was the chances of it falling just on that spot? Because he says lots of things. He's a real polite dog. Wait, where is it?
Yeah.
So, look around a toy store, find things like this that kids can totally relate to, Now, Sadie's a little old for this, of course, but most of the children that we photograph are 5 and under. Most of our children are babies or toddlers. Okay. Then, I'm going to let Tom take over from here. Try not to stand on my skirt.
Stand on your skirt. You wanted to mention your Ellie story before we...
Oh, to me, I have to be challenged in life, okay? I was in sales for a long, long time, so I have to constantly be challenged. And when there's a child when we're doing nursery schools, if there's a child that we just can't get, sometimes the directors will say, well, just don't worry about it. Well, I pull out all stops. I have candy in my pocket. I have bubbles at nursery school time. I have a necklace I found that has a little bottle of bubbles on it. We blow bubbles for them. I mean, no matter what, sometimes that child is not photographed the way everybody else is. Same background, but instead of in a chair, they're on the floor. But I consider it a personal challenge. We have a little gal in our album over here that's on a bench with her little sister. They're looking at each other. And this little girl, Ellie, first time we photographed her, was like this. No, first time we photographed her in the beginning, she was like this. We finally got one arm down, okay? Well, we photographed her at a nursery school. Her mother loved the picture, by the way. She bought the package because we do some of our schools on, the word I'm looking for.
Prepay?
No, not on
Speculation.
prepay. Speculation,
Okay.
thank you very much. But the mother bought the picture and loved it. Well, because she saw that we could photograph Ellie, she brought her in the studio. So now she just bounces in, you know, and I said, we're doing her and her sister together, and I said, don't forget, Ellie, Casey, we have surprises when we're done. Always, always, always have surprises for children. We have surprises when we're done, you know, because they were starting to act up a little bit. And so at the end, I handed him a bottle of bubbles, and Ellie looked at me and she said, Cookie, this isn't a surprise. I knew I was going to get this. Okay. I said, thank you, Ellie. I'm going out and buy some more surprises today, you know. I think it helps if you can think like a child. I'm married to the eternal 16-year-old. He's going to be 16 till the day we put him 6 feet under. And I think that helps. That helps. You have to think like children think. You have to try and think like them. You have to not try and be just like we're all disciplinarians with our own children. But we have to remember that these aren't our children to discipline. They're our children to become friends with. Okay? So from there, we bring them in the studio, and I'll let Tom take over from there, because he's definitely the photographer in this family.
Well, we have one of these. We don't have the lights on in this, well, the lights, we have these kind of lights. We don't have the camera lights on or anything when the kids come in the studio, because we want them to walk into the, like I said, a friendly, fun environment. After we've been on the floor playing with them for a while, and they're kind of let go of mom's leg, because you know they're usually hanging on like that, and they're in the toy box playing. Then usually what we'll do is kind of change roles. I'll get up off the floor and Cookie will kind of take over playing with them, and I'll kind of meander over and turn the lights on. And while they're still playing, and then after they get used to that for a few minutes, they see the umbrellas on, that sort of thing. I'll walk, because we go up, I have to go out of our little camera room to turn off the overhead lights. So we'll go outside and just turn, it takes them back a little bit when the lights go off, but these lights are on, so it hasn't made the place completely dark. And then give them a few minutes to kind of get used to the fact that it's a little bit darker in there. And it's a slow process to do that. As we said, we do mostly high key. We do low key if mom has seen somebody's photographs done on a muslin or a low key. I try to encourage them to let us do it on high key because we like it better. But no, I like the high key because I think it lets the child's personality show through. We're not worried about props and painted backgrounds and that kind of stuff. We want to show the child's expressions, his smiles and giggles, the child's true personality. But if they want something dark, we'll go ahead and do whatever they like. As Cookie said before, we never say smile to a child. I hate to use the word smile for anybody. We want to get the child's reactions, and we do all sorts of silly things. One of Cookie's favorite things is to hit me with this. She loves to do that.
He's not nice to me on the day we do pictures.
Turns
He's in
it
big
this
trouble.
way. she's done that before. I've got scars all over my head. She loves to hit me. And just doing all sorts of silly things. The funniest noise you can think of. Our newest thing we have now is Barney. All the kids love Barney, of course. And we did a nursery school the other day, and we found out that when you just ask them, who is this? And they say, Barney. It just lights them up just like that.
It worked wonderful. We did 29 kids in 5 groups in less than an hour.
Gee, was it that long?
Hello again to all my friends.
So, you know, only problem with this guy is he keeps
He
talking.
doesn't shut up.
Okay,
He put
so
it
in a little
aside.
bit he's going to talk over
Every
you,
10
okay?
seconds he
Just
says something else.
stop talking.
He says 500 things. I haven't heard it before. But
No.
Well, how do you keep that in your hand and not the child's? I mean, that's the problem. We pull out something like that, love it, they come right for it. I mean, it's like, I want that.
We only use that if we absolutely have to. Okay,
Uh-huh.
we don't turn it on. We'll use this little guy. You'll say, you know who this is, and what I'll say.
he's talking again.
Yeah, he is. Just ignore him. Just lost my train of thought. We only use that guy if there's nothing else we can do, and we're trying to get, we have a child that just doesn't like us. And occasionally, it happens that they don't like Tom. And then Tom
Can you
just
believe
hopes that
that?
I can get some good
Yeah, I mean,
pictures.
it's amazing.
And I do, okay? But it's very, very rare. I don't mean to sound like I'm better with kids, but
My kid said you're cuter than me.
yeah.
You smell better.
Boy,
But
does she?
if a child doesn't like, we had one a couple of weeks ago that, I mean, no matter what I did, she didn't like it. So I just left the room and I let him in. Well, we had mom and dad, which I encouraged them. Not to bring mom, dad, grandma, all of
Especially
that.
grandma.
One person is all you need. You don't need an army of people. And when you have an army of people, you usually don't get good photographs. But this particular little girl, I mean, it was like she didn't like anything I did, so I just left. So I don't know, maybe I wasn't in my best mood that day. I thought I was, but that's another thing. Kids can pick up your vibes. So if you're not happy, get happy, because they can pick up your vibes. In answer to your question, Larry, what I'll do, Tom's behind the camera, and I'll say, you know, if we're not getting an expression, I'll say, do you know who this is? And Barney. Well, occasionally they'll do that too, okay? And I'll say, you want to see Barney fly? Watch him. Oh, he's going to fly. Look at him, he's flying. And, you know, they're laughing at me making a fool out of myself, okay? Hopefully we're going to have a little boy here in a little bit to show you how we make fools out of ourselves. So, you know, the only problem with this is they're going to be over there. And we're,
That's right.
yeah, okay.
That's cool.
Okay. And so, but anyway, they, you know, we try not to let them have this, okay? And if we have to let them have it, we'll take a picture with it, then we'll trade off something. Smarties are the best thing. Lisa Murphy I can thank for that. She came to New Orleans and did a program last year. Little Smartie candies, do y'all know what those are? They're a little roll of candy, like little soft, hard little candies that you suck on, and they're soft enough to chew also. But they don't have a lot of sugar in them. Because if you're giving them sugar, and then they're going to be going, whoa, and bouncing off the wall. So you don't want to give, right, you don't want to give them too much sugar. But these are real small, and they're very pastel in color, so you can go over and talk to them and say, "Damn, want a candy? Give me a candy. Oh, you gotta do it. Watch it, stay right there. Watch it, don't tell him. And go, Tommy's set, and Tommy's set to take the picture and go, wow. You know, and the kid cracks up laughing or smiles. It works.
And they don't make a mess. They're not chocolate. They're not.
Right. They're not like giving them an M&M.
Their tongue
So
doesn't
that's
get bloated.
basically how we handle. We maybe sometimes have to substitute something, but most of the time we can get it away from them. You know, most of the time we can get it. And again, that's a last resort. Now at our nursery schools we do Barney because we show them Barney, Larry, and they're not in there long enough. We we pop out of the chair. As a matter of fact, Baxter Backgrounds, who very graciously lent us this background today, helped us design an original dinosaur background that we're using for our schools this year, because every year we have something that's not just bought from a background company, we do something original every year. But what we do is, we pop them in the chair and go, do you know who this is? Barney. Tom shoots it, okay, next. We just keep rolling them through,
Are they all there with you at one time, or you bring one at a time?
One at a time. One at a time, yeah. The only way any of them are in there is if we have a crier. We might let him sit on the side or her sit on the side and just watch for a few minutes to get used to it. And while they're sitting there, I'll look over and say, how you doing, Troy? Isn't this fun? Are we having a good time? And so.
That's why I'm over on the phone.
But we'll talk directly to that child a few times so that they kind of, again, they're getting to know us by us doing that. Okay? All right.
It's also good, besides being one at a time in nursery schools, we always,
Go ahead.
okay, I'm just, that's just while I got on my phone. It's always good to have a separate room if you can in doing schools, because that way all the kids aren't sitting there making all that noise, and the child you're photographing is distracted. There's a few distractions.
Before we start, do you have anything else to cover before we start photographing Alex?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead and do that.
Just want to
We'll talk
mention,
about promotions.
when we're doing 2 children, or 3, or like we did triplet threesome.
We did quadruplets the other day.
Oh, did you?
Oh.
6-year-olds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
How old
fun.
were they?
6 years old.
Oh.
They worked out pretty good.
Well, 6-year-olds not too bad. When we're doing 2 or more children, we want to show an interaction with the kids. The 2 prints down there, the 2 little sisters, and the other 2 little sisters. No, brother and sister. I keep saying
No, this is 2 little sisters. 2 little sisters.
You want to show, it's not so important that they're looking at the camera, smiling. Mom loved this photograph, and she can't see the faces that much. But it's showing the relationship, the love between the 2 sisters. We may have them playing with 2 balloons and dressed in pajamas, something like that. One of the favorite things I like with 2 or more kids is reading books. It's just great to get storybooks out and have the older one reading to the little one and have them looking down at the book. They relate to each other. They forget you're there. They're on the floor talking to each other and playing with each other with toys or whatever. And they kind of forget that you're actually taking the photographs. You get more of a storytelling type of photograph.
This particular photograph, this little girl was 15 months old. When Tom tells me we have a 15-month-old, I get nervous.
15 to
Do
18.
y'all find 15-month-olds a real, 14, 15 months old, Donna, you don't find that a problem?
I find that so easy.
Oh my heavens, that for some reason, you know why? Because they can just pop out of a chair. They have springs in their butts. I mean, you sit them down and they're gone, honey. I'm just not that fast, Donna. That's just, to me, 15 months to 2 years is like, know. And this little girl, the only way we could keep her contained was to put her on the nanny bench and sit her over here, and then take it from there.
Each child, we try to do about 20 shots on each child. Number of good ones we get out of that, who knows, it's gonna be anywhere from 8 to 20. We, if sometimes we'll go over 20. We have a child that's really doing real well and we're thinking competition, you know, we might do 30 or 40 shots. We go outdoors, there's a little book up there, some things we did outdoors. We did the 2 little girls outdoors recently, we did like 55 or 60 shots at them. But we got greedy and we wanted them for us, you know, that kind of stuff. When we're done doing the setting, we have the mom fill out a card that has the name, address, and phone number and all that kind of thing. We also ask mom, which is one of our moms here, we also ask mom to, whenever she comes in the studio, to come in and look at the previews, to come in and make an order, to come in and whatever, bring the child with them. We want that child there as many times as possible, so that every time he comes in the house, he's not going to take photographs, he's going to Mr. Tom and Miss Cookies to have fun. Plus, in our sales room, we have a children's corner also. We have a little table and chair set up with blocks, coloring books, gumball machine, and the children now, usually they'll come in and run, you know, they'll run right to the corner and start playing with the block, and you know, sometimes moms say, oh no, don't do this. No, let them go. They can't hurt anything, except the TV set, maybe, but, and we do have a TV set that plays Mickey Mouse cartoons quite often also while the kids are there.
For you.
Those are for me. Cookie takes care of the clients, I watch the cartoons. Technically, you have anything like it?
Well, before we start photographing Alex, we're going to leave a few minutes at the end to do some questions and answers. But let me just tell you a little bit about our promotions. Troy, hand me that. I think one of the greatest things we learned from the Blood Works was promotions. You know, just how to do some really neat things. And we set up a beach scene. This was our latest one that we did. That's 400 pounds of sand in the studio. As Tom's back, he carried it all in. But we set up a beach scene, and we sent out a little card that was like a real inexpensive package, $18 to $25. It's an $18 package or a $25 package. And it was prepaid. You paid when you came in. We did 1 or 2 shots, and that was it. Most of the time, we did it with 1 shot, okay? And the reason that we did this, we sent it out to our customer base. We're very fortunate that we have about 4 businesses that will, whenever we have a special, we just drop off cards and they'll just have them on their front desk, or they'll tell people about them. There's a nail shop that I don't even go to anymore, but because they know us so well, they put our cards in the shop. They'll call up and say, when are y'all having a special? Okay. It develops people. It does 2 things. It brings in people that maybe could never afford to come to your studio for regular portraits. And it also brings in new clients because we have 1 every 15 minutes. We started off with 1 every 15 minutes. The next special, we went to 1 every 10. The next one's going to be 1 every 5. I hate to tell you, but Halloween's going to be 1 every 5. But Sharon's in the reception area, making out tickets. You know, the children are all playing, and Tom and I are back in the studio, and we're just running them through. Okay. We did Easter Bunny pictures that were just so much fun. I had nightmares. I didn't sleep the whole night because I could just see the bunnies, you know, pooping everywhere. And just being horrible bunnies, but you get bunnies, baby bunnies, and there's a couple of shots of that in the album. And a lot of Easter bunnies. We did that in the studio. It went over tremendously. We did 2 days, and so many people were calling, and Tom saying, we can't do that again, we can't do it. I'm saying, oh, we have to do it again. Well, when the 10th person called, I just looked at Sharon and I said, you start making a list of everybody that calls. And I said, tell them that if we get enough people, we'll be calling back. We wound up doing another 50 in another day, okay? So it really, really worked very well. And with the beach special, we did the beach special 2 days, and that was it. We could have done more, but we chose not to because this was really, you know, Tom chose not to. He had to haul the sand, you know.
400 pounds of sand.
Exactly. And because a lot of our clients have requested it, we're going to set up the Halloween pictures this year. It's just going to be a 1-day thing, word of mouth. How many of y'all have done that, set up the Halloween pictures? How did it go? Good? Okay, I've heard pros and cons, so, you know. And it's just, you know, again, it's to develop new clientele. It really is, and it definitely helps. Okay.
The live bunnies are fun. You can rent bunnies too, by the way. You don't have to buy bunnies. You can get them
Thank
rented.
goodness.
Don't bite.
Thank you.
They
No,
don't bite?
because you get
They don't bite.
baby bunnies, not rabbits, you get baby
How
bunnies.
old were they?
They
A
were
month,
so
4
docile,
weeks?
people wanted to know, don't drug these bunnies. No, we really
had
didn't,
like
I
8 of
promise.
them, and we pick up all 8 and put them in a basket, and wherever you put them, they would move, they'd sit
They
right
just sat there, really, really. There's one shot in the book y'all might want to look at that one little girl picked one up, and I think only maybe 3 or 4 kids
Yeah.
did that. She picked it up and she went. It's the cutest picture, it really is.
So what you do, you don't like feed them for like a day and a
Oh,
half?
you feed 'em
Oh,
at night.
no,
You feed 'em-
we should feed them all the time.
Well, I mean, you don't want them to.
feed 'em.
Tim!
Got to
Tim, it's little round balls, you just scoot them off.
Yeah. Get rid of them, Tim, okay?
The bad
You
part.
just have to make sure the kids don't think they're racist, that's all. Oh, Lord.
Oh, look at that right
There he goes.
Okay, anything else before we start?
You mentioned Christmas special?
Oh, no, we did a Christmas special last year, and that went over real well, too.
We did. Well, it was more of a family-oriented thing. We did a Christmas tree, but like a room, a whole room set up, Christmas tree, a chair, rug on the floor, the whole thing. I think this year's gonna be a little more kiddie-oriented with, like a workshop.
No, you sell specific packages.
Yeah, we'll have 2 days where we do packages, and we won't do anything else in the studio those 2 days.
Can
And
you give us an idea what the package is?
$18 and $25. 18 is,
8 by 10, 2 5 by
No,
7s, and,
no,
one
no.
8 by 10.
And
2
8
5 by 7s and,
8 by 10, a 5 by 7, and 8 wallets. It's
So it's
a
kinda
real
like a
inexpensive
prom
package, very
thing.
inexpensive.
prom thing.
But it yeah, like a prom pack thing, you
So
know.
what do? You take a couple of photographs and then you get them back and you figure out what's the best pose.
Right.
Well, we
We pick
try
the
to
best
do one
photo.
shot when you're doing, a promotional type thing. Try to, like Santa thing, we try to do one with children, you never know. Sometimes we take 2. And the first time, we just processed the film, went to the lab and looked at it. Sometimes that's difficult, reading negatives. This time we found we changed our package and included a 4 by 5 and had them proof. That way we could look at them and use the 4 by 5. So to me, it worked out better that way. While we're talking about proofs, I like paper proofs. I know there are a lot of pros and cons of projecting. Projecting is great. We have an endoscope we project for family portraits and that kind of thing, which is sold some, a lot of big portraits for us. I like paper proofs because I like mom to take the previews in nice art leather folio and take them out and show other moms. Because we've gotten a lot of it is because moms have brought these previews out and so the other moms pass them around. If they come to the studio and just look at slides, they can't do that. So I still like paper proofs.
So you have a session in the studio for sales, right?
Mhm.
Do they take them out at that time and then come back to another appointment, or do they come back at that, or they come at that time and they buy everything then? and-
Either way.
Most of the time I find people take the folios or the books home and come back. They put a deposit down, they come back, we're making appointments now because we've just been getting so busy. When they come in, we make the appointment for them to come back. We call them the day before to remind them. We try to get it back within a week to 2 weeks.
Do you also take appointments for people coming to pick up their finished order?
Everything we do is by appointment.
Everything.
Because the studio's in our home, everything. And every once in a while, somebody will just stop by, but it's really rare. It's very, very rare.
Even the days that our secretary's there, she's got their certain set hours. We're a little more flexible with people dropping in, but we still ask, please call first. and let
So
her
that we
you're
know,
coming.
because something could happen, we'd be going and she'd have to run out. John?
Cookie, we do special events also, and you were talking about 2 different packages. Now we just do the one package rather than try to offer them choices, but we go ahead and develop what we call a grandparent package, which is additional sale when they come in to pick up.
Oh, that's good.
And the grandparent package is always 2 5 by 7s.
Yeah.
Rather than try to sell them the upper package at the time, when they see it, they want it. It
Yeah.
just seems like we have higher sales if we have the grandparent package to offer when they come in.
I like
And you
that
can
very
always use it as a tag-on later. And it's so inexpensive to have it printed at the time.
Right.
Sure, you're gonna have some that don't sell, but the percentage that do sell is tremendous.
Same pose or different pose?
Same pose. There's always one shot on special events, but we'll print what we call a grandparent package as a tag-on when they pick up.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that.
Write that down.
It is. It's written here. Larry, you got something you want
You
to
answered
add? Okay. Okay.
One technical thing, if anybody's interested, we use RB. Most people do it now. In the studio, we use radio slaves. I don't have, because, with kids, you're moving all over the place, and I don't want wires dragging all over. We just have this set up in here today. Normally, we use a halo, I'm sorry, the big name, for our main light's a big halo light, which is nice and soft. We get it down low, usually at least as low as this, because children are down low, you want to catch lights in the eyes, so we get nice and low. We have a nice broad fill light. My back wall is all white, and I have a power light that bounces off the back wall and just fills everything. Of course, high key lights back here. And we use a 180 lens, because I want to be way back there when she's way up here with the children, so we're not in their face. You don't want to intimidate the children, so that's what we do on that. Give us just a second here to move the lights around. We're going to talk to little Alex.
Doing, Mr. Alex? Being not how he usually is, being shy, he's usually not shy.
Alex is in front of 20 people.
That's right, and this time of morning, I don't blame him.
I'm shy at 7 o'clock.
Real
7
shy.
o'clock at night.
Real shy.
I'm gonna be right
Wait,
there.
mommy's gonna stay right there.
I'm sitting
Right.
It's Mike in the way here, guys.
Yeah, some of you may have to get up and move to watch, okay? Y'all do know this is a stable item for all studios, right? Right. I picked this one up in Texas.
You can pick them up at household places.
Yeah, any
like Home
household
Depot,
place,
It's dusting top counters and stuff. I got a big fella, does the same thing.
Here are you going? It's sweet, you heard it. You ready, Tom? I usually work in pants
Pardon,
also
yeah.
because, you see what I just did, getting up on the floor, you're touching your legs and the skirt. So,
Thank you.
am I okay? Yeah, you're fine.
My nose does my nose squeak out? You haven't seen my,
My nose squeak. What's mine squeak, Alex?
you never saw my nose squeak, did you? No, my nose doesn't.
Want me to do it again, Alex?
Where's my nose?
It's sweet.
What was that noise? What was that noise? What was that noise? Alex. Well, let's see, what kind of day is this today? Is the sun going to shine today? Who hit me on the head? Did you do that, Alex? Did you do that? I saw you. Yeah.
One of the things that we do for, and you all probably have something special you do for first birthdays and second birthdays, and let's swap ideas after. You can tell me what you do. But one of the things we do for a first birthday is we
I see.
do all of our pictures.
Alex, are you being
Alex?
shy?
You close. You ready? One, two. I almost did it with the wrong hand. I had it in my hand and I realized it. Okay, let's bring this in next to the chair.
Huh?
Put you on the floor? You want to get on the floor? Okay, come on. Let's get you on the floor. What you want you to do?
And we want to thank
Stand right there for me.
American Photographic Resources for that chair we're using.
And Baxter lent us the background,
Baxter
and who else?
Talon let us use their background.
If y'all haven't been by American Resources, they just really have some beautiful props. If you haven't been in a trade show yet. And also, Baxter Backgrounds is a new background company in New Orleans. And they have just been, they did us a muslin background, and they did our dinosaur canvas background, and they do an excellent job at a very fair price. Oh, what'd you do, Alex? What'd you do, huh? What'd you do? Alex, watch. I'm gonna tickle your nose. Right on, Alex. I'm gonna tickle your nose. Watch, what are you gonna do? Put this hand right there. Keep your hands in, okay? Alex. Okay. All right, let's do the two. For our first birthdays, we do all of the pictures. We do all of their normal portraits, okay? Then we tell the parents to save the last shot.
Not the Z.
Oh, We're gonna do a C for Zorro. You wanna sit up here? You remember this, huh? You remember this one. You remember this one. All right, you ready?
Shoot.
Okay, put both of them in first.
What else stopped you?
No, it's fine.
You got them? Ready, Tom? Well, guys.
That's why we don't have all these wires going all over the studio.
Tom, I can back him up if you
No,
need me
it's
to.
fine, it's fine. Harry just likes me sitting on his.
All right. I'm gonna get finished telling you what we do for first
Alex, what are
birthday.
you doing up there? Are you up on nothing too? Are you being a big boy?
Alex.
Alex.
Yay!
Yeah, there you
Yay!
go. I'm just sitting on the side. That'd be good.
Okay, Alex, let's see.
What else stop are you using, Tom?
I usually use 11. I like 11.
Yeah.
All right, good job.
We had a friend of ours make that too.
Good job.
I'll tell you that
Yeah,
story.
that's another story after class.
Yeah.
Hit him on the head.
Yeah, him, huh?
Do it again, Alex, huh?
There you go.
You find little boys like when I abuse Tommy. I kind of like it too, you know? Alex, you did wonderful. Is there anything anybody else would like to do before we let Alex leave?
I like to rent him.
You'd like to
Forfeit.
Listen, he came to the studio last week. We were supposed to use Emily's little girl, and she realized that Alyssa had started school, so she couldn't come. So Vicky brought oh no, Vicky brought Alex in to pick up an order. And did Tom go over that? You tell him to bring him in every time. Just bring them in every time, because every time they get to know us a little bit better and they feel more at home.
He's a little too comfortable.
Yeah. It wasn't as funny when you
I know, they heard me. Boys like that.
It wasn't as funny, right, Don? It really wasn't. But
We'll do that one.
oh, when
We'll do
she
that
brought
one.
Alex in, he was just, I mean, he was kind of everywhere that day, you know. And she was saying how things have changed since the last time she was in. And she said that he was potty trained. And he goes, he's just walking like this. I'm potty trained. It was so cute, you know. And he was just so outgoing with us that day. And so Tom said, they walked out the door, Tom said, Alex would be a good one to use for our program. So I asked him, Vicky was gracious enough to bring him.
Oh, you missed.
We went to Cookies one time and looked what I
Hey, you don't hit that. It don't move.
Yeah. And telling you what we do for the first birthday. Last 4 or 5 shots, we strip them down to the diaper. We had the parents bring a cake. When we first started doing this, we supplied the cake. This was not good, because if they cancel the appointment, I'm a sweetaholic and I had a cake at my house. I already have a weight problem. I don't need to have extra cakes hanging around, okay? I really don't. So we started asking the parents to bring the cake. One of our parents came in and said, that Del Champs, if you bring the birth certificate, will give you a free birthday cake, perfect size, like this. Perfect size birthday cake. So we pass that along to our clients, and they go to Del Champs, they get their free birthday cake. We sit them on the floor. Sometimes they'll bring their party hats that they had, if they had a theme for their first birthday. We'll kind of lay those out, put some balloons in the back, whatever. Most of the time, it's just the cake, the diaper, the kid. That's it. Set them on the floor, like so, just like this. Birthday cake here, and just encourage them to dig in. You get some of the best shots that way. I mean, just absolutely, you know, kids are covered with chocolate, or we like them to bring a white cake, but some parents bring chocolate. And so then we take them in the kitchen and put them in the sink and wash them off, because they're a disaster. For the second birthday, we borrowed this too from Dottie Loop, who does seniors, and we found we were using it so much that we had a friend of ours make this one for us. What are you doing? You're beating up my tube. Are you beating up my tube? Huh? Are you ready to go?
He's got it.
Let me show you. Well, no, let's do them on the floor. Let's do them on the floor. You got a couple. You got some more. Yeah. Oh, sure. So with the number 2, we'll do what we just did. We stand them next to the tube. We sit them on the tube. You know, whatever. Alex, come sit with
One other thing about equipment, I don't use a tripod like this in the studio. I have a camera stand on wheels, and the camera goes down to here. So on kids like this, I would be all the way down to the floor doing that, not this side.
Oh, scoot up. Sit on that spot
Here
right
come
there.
again there. Oh, I gotta get back this way.
Okay, right there. You got it? All right. Bump him on the head, you got it. You got it, Mr. Alex, you got it.
I think we have a real hammer here if you want to use it.
Love that. Look at that storybook. Look at that storybook.
What's in there, Alex?
Alex.
Alex, who's in that book? Who's in there?
McGregor.
Yeah, who is it? Who is that? It looks like it's a me too. Who is that? Yeah.
I think he's awake now, Vicky.
I'm leaving. Let it out.
Not enough the time has him all wound up.
I gotta go to the hospital, but it's
Go quiet, Alex. Alex, look over here. Look. That helps when you're doing children and you want them not to have a big smile. Just go, shh. Go quiet. Go quiet. Alex. Alex, listen. Watch. Watch, Alex. Okay. All right.
Yeah, usually the camera, this particular foot camera will be down here.
It's practically on the floor, okay? Let's give Alex a big hand. Yay! Alex, thank you so much. Look, I got a present for you. Come sit. You know how you get surprises at my house? Well, I brought you some of all the surprises today. And you can just dig in this on your way home, okay? Deal? Can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? Oh, I work all day long for my hugs. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Pays lousy, guys, but the hugs are good, okay? All the gumballs. All over the place. That's a gumball machine you see at my house all the time, huh?
He's looking for it.
Good one. Yeah, I like in a different outfit, so that's a real good one. And whenever you're ready, when I get these in, I'll
So
call
Tom,
you.
what are you
And
using
then
this for? Y'all said y'all were using white paper. You have a background light?
Yeah, matter of fact, we use the Novatrons for background lights. I have background lights hung from the ceiling so that when we're doing brides and we need a wider area, you can just swing up like that. So they come down the ceiling, and we have one on each side. They're about, I guess, 3 feet maybe off the floor. Two in the background, and then the two lights, the halo and the fill light that bounces off the wall. Nice, soft light. For children especially, I like a big, nice, wide light source because kids move around.
Those women in the
So if they're not exactly where you put them on the white, they might be here or there or here, within reason.
Ready to ride. Tell them bye. Say see you later. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Want to throw him a kiss? Huh? Throw him a kiss.
Oh!
Big old kiss.
Bye, thank you, Vicky.
I'll call you. Thanks a bunch. Bye, Alex. Is he wonderful? We'd love to tell you all of our children are that wonderful. They're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. He is just really, he's been fun to photograph. We've been photographing him since he's probably about 4 or 5 months old. Oh, promotions. Just as things click in my head, I'm going to tell you about them. This is an idea that the Bloodworths, the town got from somebody 100 years ago, and never really used it a lot, okay? He's old.
1910.
That's just an expression 100 years ago. And it's, how many of you have used the Cradle Club? Have any of y'all used that? The 3, 6, 9, 12 panel? Okay, stop it. How many of you just starting your children's business out? You really need to build your children's business. Okay. The way to do it is to make up a letter, send it out to get to your regular customer base. If you don't have a regular customer base, you can contact hospitals. Sometimes they'll give you a list of newborns. Some smaller towns have a list in the paper. You send this out and you offer a one-time special. People don't believe it because it's going to be free. We don't do it free, but I'll tell you how we do it in a minute. But to get a new business started, you do this with, you have the child come in when they're 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. You photograph them, you do 6 or 8 shots each time. And you tell them at the end of the 12th month, you're going to give them a little panel with ovals or squares, whichever you decide on, that's going to have a 4x5 in each one from each session. and then they've got to buy a frame. So if you're smart, you'll have the frames on hand to sell them the frame, which will cover the cost of what you're out of pocket for. We've had, in the time we've been doing it, we've had maybe one person, two people at the most, to take just a free picture and go away. Everybody else, you know, places an order. And again, it's a new client. You're developing a new client. The way that we do it in our studio is we offer a half price sitting. And because we don't want to do it for absolutely nothing. Another good idea for promotions is if you have, your hospital puts out a book, your local hospital puts out a coupon book for new mothers, just put a coupon in there. Free sitting, 1 free 4x5.
Most hospitals do it for free if you get in touch with the PR department.
Yeah.
They don't charge anything to do because they want to get as many people in their little book as they can because it's good for them to give it out. And we give a free sitting in that.
A free sitting and a free 4x5. Well, if we're going to take it and make paper proofs, we're going to have 4x5, right? So, you know, we're taking some of our time and that's been a little bit of money. And again, you do 6 to 8 shots at the most on
Usually not
that.
that.
Okay, no, usually not.
Because they're usually like 2 months old when they get it. So.
But the idea with the Cradle Club, I feel like when you get an idea, you should give credit where it's from. And our promotions in our Cradle Club with Betty and George Bloodworth just really gave us these wonderful ideas, and they've been working really well for us. Today, we hope that you've learned at least one thing that you can use. Never go home from a class thinking, oh, I'm going to use that, that, and that. Just take one thing that you thought, oh, I haven't tried that, or if you've tried it and you haven't tried it in a long time, then go home and use it, because, you know, if you've learned one thing, you haven't wasted your time this morning. Tom? You want to say?
Okay, sure. Throughout our life, we have tried to base our life and everything we do on Christian principles. We firmly believe that the Lord put us here to do a good job and to take care of children, and He has He's smiled on us in our life. We've been very successful, and we've been very happy and healthy. We have 2 great kids that are huge guys now. But it's one reason why we like kids. We don't have any grandchildren yet, so we kind of can pretend like these are
I
our
have lots of
grandchildren, and we send them home.
They all go home. Grandkids go home though, don't they, George? Don't you have grandkids?
Oh, yes.
They do go home, right?
Oh, yes.
Eventually.
Except on weekends.
Only if you're lucky. Only if you're lucky, right? Okay. Just thought I'd check on that.
We're going to give you a couple of handouts. This one in particular has a lot of quotes on here from a lady who used to own the company that Cookie used to work for many years, was Home Interiors, that she learned all these speaking skills and managerial skills and things. This lady, other than my wife, is probably the greatest lady I've ever met in my life. And there are some sayings on here that are very useful, profound and useful in everyday life, in your business and everything. So take them with you and read them and take them to heart. This is one of our little pink letters we send out to moms that has stuff they should do if you
Just take
pass
one,
it
pass
around
them
for
around.
me.
And does anybody have any questions?
Talk a little bit more about how you approach the nursery schools and what's your marketing scheme for the packages you offer, and how you go about that day.
Lots of hard work. Nursery schools are lots and lots of hard work. We sent out letters from the phone book. We sent out letters. We called. After we sent the letters, I was on the telephone until I felt like it was growing out of my ear. Because nursery school, again, how many of you do nursery schools? You do, Johnny, good. And Mindy, you do them also? Okay, well, I don't know how you guys got started, but this is, this to me is, it's hard work.
What
We all
ages?
agree that it's hard
What
work to
ages?
get started with?
What ages?
Yeah, what ages?
From newborns to, what are they, 4?
How many do you do?
Whatever
How many
preschool.
schools do you do?
I've narrowed them down, and I now do probably about 2,000 to 2,500 children.
But how many schools, actual schools?
Probably 10.
Okay, we see, we do 40.
Yeah, I
We do
used
40
to.
schools a
I
year.
shut a bunch out.
Yeah. No, we do 40 schools a year. We don't take a school unless it has 30 children. If I can go out and, shoot 30 children an hour and go home and work the rest of the day, I feel like, hey, that's great. It's fine with me. And we also take the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus to our schools, too. So if you have any questions on that, I'll
I
answer that
think if you
after.
have a fresh idea, like your dinosaur background, I have a special backgrounds made for schools. I think if you have a fresh idea for them and you're enthusiastic, they're real open to that. They
Yeah,
kind
they
of
are.
have these photographers come in that are just,
Standard, exactly.
and
Exactly.
they're looking for something new. And
The
they're open.
biggest complaint we found with nursery school owners was that the big national corporations that were coming out, the guys who were doing the photographs didn't like kids. They were like, sit here, kid, you didn't smile, get out, you know.
Right. Basically,
We care about the kids, and we, you know, we make sure that we get good
And
expressions.
bringing lots of stuff to play with them. I find a lot of my preschools like, God, you got so many things to amaze them with.
Right,
And you know,
exactly.
the last photographer we used, you know, didn't do hardly anything. He showed them one toy and expected them to smile, and if
Right.
they didn't, oh well, he could. That was it, you know.
Right.
But we do. It was interesting. You said you only do one child at a time. I do bring in the whole class at one time, even like 18-month-olds. There's like usually 18-month-olds, you have 7 or 8 in the class.
Yeah.
And we bring them in and we have a little space, kind of like, say if I'm over here, and, you know, we line them up, and I find they sit and watch. They're really not a problem walking around, and if you have a child that's extremely shy, don't play with them, I play with the other kids.
We
And
tried
I
it that way and it
find-
hasn't worked for us, so
Really?
that's why we've done it this way. Because originally, that's what we did. We'd have them bring in the children, they'd sit on the side of the wall, and it was like they was the child that you were working with was distracted. You'd have kids, you know, getting. I don't know if we just have nursery schools that the directors aren't real disciplinarians or whatever, but we just found that it works better for us to bring them in one at a time. That, like I said, when we did that school the other morning, we went in and set up and picked up and did the children and did the 5 groups, all of that in an hour. I mean, you know, we didn't get there and set up and then start our hour. We counted the hour from we got
That's on
there.
a high
and
key
we left at
background?
10. Pardon?
That was on a high key
No.
background?
No, that was our dinosaur background that was painted. But every year, up until this year, we've used a high key background, and we've just come up with different ideas every year. When we use
You need
balloons.
a fresh idea every
You need
year.
a fresh idea every year. And you also need to, when you're first starting out, after you send out a letter, you need to keep calling until you get in touch with the directors. And
'Cause
then you
they're
set
never
up, that's right, and then you set up an appointment. And the best time to catch them is early in the morning or late in the afternoon. And so you either start out real early in the morning while you're having your coffee, you start making your phone calls. Or, you know, because I don't know about you guys, but we get busy in the afternoon, I think I'll do it tomorrow, you know. But we haven't actively solicited nursery schools for probably 6 years now, maybe 7. And praise God, we have just been very blessed. We have picked up new schools every year. We'll lose one and we'll pick up a big one. And, you know, or we won't lose any and we'll pick up 2 more. And the way that we're picking them up is that other nursery school directors are telling them about us and saying, you know, you're going to love these guys. And we try to, you know, become friends with it. We've done weddings of directors, you know, their children. We've done their weddings and things. So,
And they have an association too. Nursery school owners have an association
Right.
like we do.
right.
And they talk to each other.
Yeah, and we've been very, very blessed because they've talked us up and we haven't really actively sought it. You know, Tom keeps saying, you know, you really got to get busy with that. And I say, yeah, I know I do. And then I don't, and it works out anyway. He told me that a couple of weeks ago. I said, honey, have you looked at the book? Find me a
All of
date when we're
September,
going to
October.
shoot nursery schools another day, and I'll be glad to get on the phone and get some more.
You
We have-
mentioned newborns. How do you handle those that young like that when you have them in nursery schools?
Nursery schools, we bring a little infant seat, and we have a little white blanket that we plop on top of it, sit them in the infant seat, and put it in front of the background.
Emily's giving me the sign.
Okay.
I hate to be the
Thank you,
bad guy,
everybody.
but.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we would like to give this to Thomas Elwell and Evelyn Cookie Elwell
Good luck at Evan Cornell.
for a job well done. And let's give them a big hand again.
Thank you.
And then we'll quit. Okay, now, I know y'all not gonna